Imagine waking up tomorrow to find your portfolio down 40%. Not because of a market crash, not because of a recession, but because America just destroyed the TSMC factory that makes 90% of the world's advanced chips. And that factory is in Taiwan. The same Taiwan that China wants to invade. If China attacks Taiwan in 2027, America has already made plans to remotely destroy TSMC factories, rather than let China control them. Sounds like a movie plot? It's real, it's documented, it's official US policy. And Warren Buffett? He's sitting on $382 billion in cash, the highest ever. Like he's waiting for a massive opportunity, or maybe a massive disaster. Today I'll expose 3 choke points, 3 monopolies, 3 countries, 1 fragile system holding up a $50 trillion tech economy. 2 of these choke points are in China's crosshairs, and the timeline? 2027, just years away. Let's start with the first choke point. Everyone thinks Nvidia makes chips. $5 trillion company, hero of the AI boom. But that's completely wrong. Nvidia only designs chips. They make the blueprint. Actual manufacturing? That's done by a company you've probably never heard of. TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. And here's where the facts will blow your mind. TSMC makes 90% of the world's advanced chips. Every iPhone in your hand, every Tesla on the road, every AI model from ChatGPT to Google Gemini, they all run on TSMC chips. TSMC has over 500 customers. Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Qualcomm. If TSMC stops production tomorrow, the tech industry won't just slow down, it will completely stop. One company, one island. 90% of the world's advanced chips. That's the first choke point. Now comes the second choke point, which is even scarier. To make these advanced chips, you need a machine. The most complex machine in the world. It's called an EUV lithography machine. And only one company in the entire world makes it. ASML from the Netherlands. Listen to these shocking facts. Each machine costs $380 to $400 million. It requires 40 shipping containers to transport. Over 100,000 parts in a single machine. And most importantly, ASML has a 100% monopoly on EUV machines. Zero competition. Both Nikon and Canon, giant companies, invested billions trying to develop this technology and completely failed. ASML spent 30 years and $9 billion in R&D to develop this. And they only make 40 to 50 EUV machines per year. TSMC alone needs dozens. So think about it. If something happens to ASML, then nobody, not America, not China, nobody can make advanced chips. Period. That's the second choke point. And now we come to the third choke point, which is equally dangerous. To make chips, you need silicon. Purified processed silicon, and China controls a significant portion of the polysilicon supply chain. From raw materials to processing facilities, everything is under China's control. So now the picture is crystal clear. Taiwan makes the chips through TSMC, 90% monopoly. The Netherlands makes the machines through ASML, 100% monopoly, and China controls the raw materials. 3 countries, 3 monopolies, and a $50 trillion tech sector depends on them. But now comes the really chilling part that'll keep you up at night. According to US intelligence reports, Xi Jinping has ordered the Chinese military to be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. CIA Director Bill Burns himself said publicly in 2023, as a matter of intelligence, we know Xi has instructed the PLA to be ready by 2027 to conduct a successful invasion. Now pay attention. Ready to invade doesn't mean will invade, but there's a timeline, and that timeline is getting very close. And what's America's plan for this? Washington has stated that if Taiwan is annexed, they would rather destroy the TSMC factories to the ground, activate a remote kill switch, and then airlift the engineers, the same way they airlifted Nazi scientists after World War II, rather than let China control that technology. Because think about it, if China gets TSMC, they'll control over 90% of the world's advanced chips. They'll control the jugular vein of the global economy. Every AI system, every military equipment, every smartphone, everything would be at China's mercy. Listen to this again carefully. America is literally planning to destroy TSMC and evacuate the talent. The factory that makes 90% of the world's advanced chips. Sounds insane, but this is reality. So what's the backup plan? What about Arizona? TSMC has invested $165 billion in Arizona. The first fab was supposed to start in 2024, but after delays, high volume production began in late 2024. The second fab was originally targeted for 2026. Now it's delayed to 2027-2028. But here's the real problem. American engineers can't operate ASML's machines like TSMC can. there's a massive shortage of skilled workers. TSMC had to bring over 500 engineers from Taiwan. The skill gap is so huge that it would take decades for the US to reach Taiwan's level. This can't happen overnight, so the backup plan isn't as strong as it appears. Let's talk about your portfolio, and this is where the actual danger lies. The Magnificent Seven: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, Nvidia. These 7 companies represent 30% of the S&P 500's value. Remove these companies and market returns barely beat inflation. And every single company is completely dependent on TSMC's advanced chips. AI ambitions, TSMC chips. Cloud services, TSMC chips. Autonomous vehicles, TSMC chips. Everything depends on TSMC. $1 trillion in AI spending is projected by 2027. But here's the question: if the supply chain breaks, what happens to that $1 trillion? And this is critical to understand. This won't be a temporary disruption. TSMC's advantage comes from 40 years of institutional knowledge, thousands of specialized engineers, and a supply chain built over 30 years. You can't copy-paste that in Arizona in 3 years. It's not that simple. Technology transfer isn't that easy. And now the most important thing. Warren Buffett, the world's greatest investor, is sitting on $382 billion in cash. Berkshire Hathaway's highest ever cash reserve as of Q3 2025. Buffett wrote in his 2025 shareholder letter, "Despite what some commentators view as an extraordinary cash position, the great majority of your money remains in equities. But Berkshire will never prefer ownership of cash over good businesses." Translation: he's waiting for a crash. I don't see good opportunities in current markets. I believe a major opportunity is coming soon. Berkshire has continuously sold more stocks than bought for the last 10 quarters, including $117.6 billion worth of Apple stock. This is not a coincidence. This is strategic positioning. Smart money is taking position. Insider selling at tech companies is at record highs. The signals are everywhere if you want to see them. So here's the reality you need to understand. The global economy is built on 3 choke points. First, TSMC, 90% advanced chip monopoly in Taiwan. Second, ASML, 100% EUV machine monopoly in the Netherlands. And third, China controlling critical raw materials. US intelligence assessment says China will be militarily ready for Taiwan by 2027. The stock market is pricing in infinite AI growth, but that growth depends on a supply chain that could collapse from one geopolitical crisis. In December 2025, the Trump administration approved an $11.1 billion arms sale to Taiwan, the largest ever. The clock is ticking. Tensions are building and time is running out. I'm not saying sell everything tomorrow. Don't panic. But if you're not considering this risk in your portfolio, you're not investing, you're gambling. The house of cards is taller than ever. The foundation sits on an island that could disappear. The question isn't if this bubble will burst. The question is, will you be ready when it does? How is your portfolio protected? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates, and share this with people who deserve to know this information. Because the biggest risk isn't what you know, the biggest risk is what you're ignoring.